that.
Okay, so we're back again this week to talk about the Super League. We're talking about the rollout of the league, our thoughts on the league, and then the fallout from public, from fans, and everything in between. So let's get started. So when we recorded our week in review last Sunday, it was
Mhm.
just funny because almost the moment we pressed stop on that recording, everything just went haywire. Like I was just hearing my feed was just going crazy. Like, something has been announced, the Super League. Everyone was just
Yeah,
like, like it's just bizarre. So, like, what did you think?
it was crazy. I mean, it was as if like when it's like there's a coup, there's
Hmm.
a military coup, somewhere, and
Yeah,
all of a sudden the thing just like boom became world news, and everyone is talking about it in every news channel, every football channel, station, website, uh, social media platforms. Everyone were just talking about the European Super League, ESL. Like, wow, this for me it was like
it
so
was.
surprising. It was like, what,
I don't.
what,
I think it was
what?
surprising, not because we didn't like this was coming. I think it was just the way it happened. Like, first off, I didn't think they were that bold to do it in a pandemic. Second
Hmm.
off, I didn't think they were bold enough to actually release a press release and say, these are the 12 teams doing this thing. And each of
Yeah,
the 12, all of them released, like they had press releases. Here's what we're doing.
yeah.
They didn't consult the fans, they didn't consult fan groups, didn't talk to the
Mm-mm.
managers. Like the managers were all puzzled. Like I
Yep.
saw interviews with managers and they were just like, they had no idea what was happening. So
It
it's
it
it's
was
just bizarre.
bizarre. It was bizarre. It took a lot of things from even the concentration from the teams. It affected team performance. It
Yeah.
affected because and then with all the consequences that you came out with, or if you play in the Super League, or the potential of not playing in the World Cup, or the Euros is just less than 2 months away, so you're not even going to play. So,
Yeah.
like, I think it's messed up the whole world of football just for that period of time. Even until now,
Now it's
it's
not,
still
yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, even now it's still going on every time and every news channel, Sky Sports, the BBC, ESPN, um, um, Bean
Everyone.
Sports,
I, I I have thoughts on those. I
many
have
as you
thoughts on
can.
all those people, but they're not. I think everyone's complicit in what's happening. Like Sky Sports, these are the same companies that were charging people. I think it was like £14 to watch one game in a
Yes,
pandemic.
Amazon, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So let's dive into removing club affiliations for a second. Like, what do you, as a
Yes,
football fan, because this is not the first time that there's change in the game. Let's be honest. Like
yes,
this is not
yeah,
even the Champions League, the current format, it was never always like this. So
yeah.
the Premier League as we know it was in 1992, started or
Hmm.
reformed in 92. There's always
Yeah.
going to be backlash. Not saying I agree with the Super League, but like removing your club affiliations as a football fan, what do you see as some of the consequences of what they tried to do?
For me, the moment I heard that Chelsea was involved, which is my favorite club, like you guys are crazy. You guys are not thinking, and it made me it made me doubt a lot about the clubs, all these big clubs. What
Hmm.
their goals and aims and objectives are, and with what you just asked, they just wanted to kill the game. They wanted to remove the competition in the game.
Hmm.
You know, I was I was talking with people. So so he was so he was he wanted to know my business standpoint about the whole thing.
Hmm.
And I said, yeah. He just asked me the same question you asked right now. Club affiliation apart, as a football fan. For me, it's just to kill the game. It will kill the excitement of the game. I know that we are planning for it to be like midweek, but the plan was not just for it to be midweek. The plan was to play the week the strong team, the strong lineup of the clubs
For
play
the
in that
Super
midweek.
League. Yep.
Yeah. So for Premier League, for FA Cup, for the League Cup, they'll just play weak teams. They are weak
Yeah,
squads.
that was the
So
problem.
that will remove the competitive nature of the Premier League. It will remove and also the Premier League will lose.
Not just the Premier League. Like we're talking La Liga, we're talking Serie A. French league wasn't part of this. Bayern and Bundesliga not part of this. I think for me, even it's a multitude of things. Like I think my first big thing that I don't like is the fact that they try to turn it into like an NFL style.
Yes,
You get rewarded for for not doing well.
just for
Still,
participation.
there's no
You know,
relegation, there's no threats. I
it,
think
it was
when
it
you
was going to
Americanize
be
the sports.
yeah, exactly. It was just going to be a glorified Major League Soccer or American style of
And
competition, which
no
is no
offense to the MLS,
competition.
I actually enjoy. Well, in the last 2 3 years, I've enjoyed the MLS because they've been putting more teams.
Hmm.
But then that aspect of not being relegated for me,
Yeah,
I don't think I can ever agree with
it, it doesn't make no matter how much money they ingest in the sports, in the US, the American style of you cannot be relegated, whether it's NFL, basketball, Amer- soccer itself, as football, itself, teams come up, and that's why teams, spring up here and there, and then there's no pyramid system to get to the top. So,
right.
yeah, you all just play, you're just, get paid, and you're just able to, you're not competing, you're just playing glorified friendly games between yourselves, round robin, and at the end of the whole thing. You play, you go for a playoff game, and then without even though the trophy is there, but it's just nothing to look forward to.
Yeah,
So
it's
that kills
all.
competition in the game.
Although to be fair, like even saying that, it's like you're talking about hardcore soccer fans or footy fans, football fans. I still like part of me. Like, we live in a society where I like the way the fans all came together to kind of say, enough is enough. We don't want this. This is not the way we want something like this. This is not the way you change the game. You don't just
Yes.
sit there as 12 people and decide and dictate what the rest of the game does. That makes no sense. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like it's almost like they're giving fans no choice. Like, do we really have a choice? Like, if they went on with the league, are people going to stop watching their teams? I don't think so. So that's like it becomes a bigger issue, and I think they were banking on the fact that that was what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And but it was challenging because even the leagues have to, I think they have to sign off for those teams to actually break away into other
Yeah.
leagues, and that becomes
Hmm.
problematic for the leagues. They basically take the viewership, they take all the TV money, they kind of disperse it amongst themselves. They control their own TV rights. Each team will start doing their own subscription service. So I think it took years and years of planning. This is not something that just happened. The way they rushed everything made it seem that way, but this was more sinister than it actually
Yeah, that's
appeared.
why, like some of the fans are still angry with them because, they were not considered. They were not, they never took the fans into consideration. As you just said, it's something that they've been planning for a while. So it's not as if they came together on Sunday, made the agreement, agreed on what was going to happen, and then boom, we go. But I think it's been an underground work going, even though Chelsea, for example, said, oh, we were scared that we would be left behind. No way. They've been in this planning all this while, and that is why the fans are very, very angry. And that will the lower the small clubs as well are very angry about it. Right now they're like the 14 clubs, of the 20 Premier League teams, the 14 clubs were like, no, we're going to take these big six guys off, decision making in Premier League. We don't want to talk to them, like backlash and all those stuff.
No,
Because
I think that
they
part's just. I think that part's.
so, but the
Like, I
thing is
get
that
it.
the small clubs, grassroots will not get money from football anymore. Grassroots will suffer. The small clubs will suffer financially. You know how much the Premier League clubs gave to the EFL clubs, to
But
the
But
football league.
you know what's funny? This has not even been up to a year. I think Man United also were and Liverpool were also leading talks for Project Restarts last summer, where they
Mhm.
reduce the size of the Premier League and then they distribute money to all the league, like the pyramid
Yeah.
from them up. So
Yes.
they were, I don't know, like it's confusing because they're part of two things that are kind of almost
So,
the opposite of each other.
so the idea I think is that there were, there's one word that joins everything, and it's called greed. That's the word that joins
Yeah.
everything. That's it's just the greed. So yes, the Premier League clubs disburse money to lower league clubs in England. At that time, last year during the project restart. Now, if if we look at, and another thing why it was going to affect them is that for example, in England, the TV rights money is shared. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the all the clubs get a substantial amount of money.
Right. Right.
It's not like in Spain where Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and
Barcelona,
Atletico
Atletico.
get the majority part of the money,
Yeah.
whereby and they are actually in a very very deep hot water, those clubs, because they are running in financial mess right now.
Yep.
But with that, I think that's why they wanted the Super League, because there's some money coming. Someone just going to invest. That was 4 point something billion to be invested. Meanwhile, TV rights in England is one point something billion, pounds, which all the lower clubs get money. Even this relegated Sheffield United will get good amount of money. So you're going down, you're getting money. You're coming back to the Premier League, you're getting money. So, and that's why the financial balances of the clubs in England, that there's not too many difference, between
Yeah.
them, because they
Yeah.
are able to get money from those TV rights. Now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was listening to one of the analysts from Sky Sports, talk about this, and he was trying to reveal what an insider, a club board insider, revealed some details about the ESL,
Yeah.
the Super League. So I'm going to try to play it to see maybe if you can hear it, and then because that is one of the things that angered the fans a lot.
Are,
I
are we
don't know
gonna
if you
get
heard that.
are we gonna get copyrights? If you play Sky Sports, you get copyright strikes.
Um, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get caught on that.
I
But
think I think
for
we
me,
might.
okay, let me just give you a summary of it. He said the insider was talking about that the primary aim for them, these big six and the general ESL, was the financial gain.
Yep.
And the love for the game and the fans is secondary.
Absolutely,
So
I
with
agree with that.
with that said, that is like, we don't really care about this, guys. Okay, so let's do our thing. And then I was like, what will be the regulations? Let's say UEFA is the regulatory body for European football. FIFA is the world, regulatory body for the world's game. Or.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if you guys break away, where will you get your referees? Because the referees that will go and officiate in ESL will not be able to officiate in any UEFA game or any World Cup game. Definitely, it's not only the players. The
Yeah.
players are the players are might be pardoned or something, but the regulatory body, it's just like starting a new league. You need to have your the officials. So
Yeah.
are they going to maybe have new officials, or maybe the ones that have retired come out of retirement and come
I
and
think
work
they
for
had
them?
this. I think they had. I wouldn't put anything past them. I think they had this all figured out. It was very telling. Something you said about them not caring about the fans, or like even Florentino Perez, like some of the things he was saying.
Mhm.
If you look at it from a neutral perspective, you can say, okay, maybe he's making some sense. But the fact that he called people legacy fans is just that alone is just like that. I think they see fans as just a number on the spreadsheet. That's all you are. You're just a number. You're just a new subscriber.
Exactly.
Dollar signs. It's absolute. So now, talk more about from a Chelsea perspective. Now, like how do you, like, you being a fan? Okay, you're a fan of the game, but now you being a fan of a specific club, how do you view your club going forward?
One thing, I think Chelsea was the first team to pull out or to announce that they were going to
But
pull
does
out
that
because
make a
their fans
difference?
were the first. No, but their fans, I mean, because their fans were the first to react, to stage the protest, you know. And for me, I don't know if I should take the word, that they put out there that we are scared of being left behind, because I know that one, Chelsea is run by a Russian owner, Roman Abramovich, who we believe that what he has spent in Chelsea, on Chelsea, the development of the club, the youth system.
But does that excuse? But does that excuse? Does that
It's not to
excuse?
excuse him, but for me, I think that what he has done for the club, is not driven by the money.
Mm,
If I look back at what he has invested in the club, he's not driven by the money. Why? Because I think he's already made. I mean, it's not Barcelona and Real Madrid. Barcelona and Real Madrid. Why they are in deep hot water now is because one, they've made a lot of financial mistakes in signing players,
mhm.
you know, and they have not been able to recover. They have not been
Yeah,
able to recover. Now, if you look at Chelsea, the players we signed, also we have a lot of players that we developed,
yeah.
and we can make some money from those players that we developed. Now, while I was saying that greed was part of the whole thing, was that if you look at um, the clubs are greedy, the players are greedy, and the agents are greedy.
Yeah.
Now, I was listening to Arsene Wenger. I was listening to him. He said the turnover of football in the world in 1 year is 45 billion. And because,
Turn.
yeah, the turnover, the revenue generated by
Okay.
football world for the whole world,
Hmm.
throughout the whole world is 45 billion. Now, football will lose 15 to 20 billion because of the pandemic. Now, he said that wages cover 60 to 80% of this turnover.
Yeah,
So
that's
which
believable.
means that players are paid more than they deserve to earn. Now, did you
But it's
know?
it's all driven by demand and supply. It's what the market is. We know what the market is. So then I agree to a degree, but
Yeah, but the thing is this, for example, Messi's new contract, what it was, 72 million a year.
is that after taxes or is that
So why wouldn't
pre-tax?
Barcelona go into such, whether it's before or after taxes? So imagine how would Barcelona now, if you're paying a single player that has passed his prime, Messi has passed
Mm-hmm.
his prime.
Mm-hmm.
So what the heck are you paying him that amount for? Even if he has not passed his prime.
Mm-hmm.
So the agent would get Premier League clubs pay a lot of money for agents, right? Now, agents get that money, players get money. Clubs want money to be able to pay the players because whatever they generate is still going back to the players. So, but looking at, for example, like we talked the other time about Chelsea and the players that we move on quickly if we see that they are not producing for us. I think we try our best to cash in on them when they're still, when they're still fresh, like Alvaro Morata when we sold him. We didn't sell him when he was, how many seasons at Chelsea after. We made sure that I think I can't remember how much we gave him to Atletico Madrid. Also, we cashed in on Eden Hazard. He's not producing for Madrid, but Chelsea has made that money from it. So the thing here is that, I mean, looking at Chelsea, I do not hold too much grudge against them because of what and how they have, how the club has evolved since Roman Abramovich took over, and what he's doing for this game in general, whether it's against racism or his anti-Semitism project, so those are the things that when I look at and how the club is being managed, that's like, okay, I think this guy is doing well, but as a fan, I was not happy at all that we were involved. But the thing is that, yes, we were part of it. Now, there was another thing I wanted to mention. There was something that Arsene Wenger said. Arsene Wenger said that for these things for clubs not to lose too much money, he said they have to, for this, I think I made a note here. Only players can solve this problem, he said, by accepting to diminish their wages. And he was referring to maybe reducing the income, or they have to defer their wages until the economy kicks back up again. And then he mentioned something about variable and fixed income of the player. Fixed income should be lower and variable income should be higher. And what he meant by variable of the income should be linked to the capacity of the stadium. If your stadium capacity is 20,000, the player's salary should be, there should be a fixed amount whereby, let's say, 50% of your wages is fixed. And then the other variable comes from whatever you generate for the club or whatever the club aims, throughout your time and throughout the duration of your contract as well in the club. So, and also he mentioned that we have to be realistic in educating young players and how to develop quality players. Now, I was talking to my friends the other day. I said to him, it's not possible that Haaland, I don't know if he's already 21 or younger, he's already priced for 150 million. On what grounds? It's not even hit his prime.
That's the way the game is prime. But that's the way the game. Mbappe was sold for what, 100 and something. So that's just the game. I don't agree, but I agree with you, and I don't agree with the way money has changed the game, but that's what's happening. We need something to actually recalibrate or bring balance to the game. We need something like the way the fans have all come together. Although it's still disappointing that people can't come together like this for racism. The only reason UEFA, Sky, and everyone's shouting and crying on TV is because it's going to affect our money. If the Super League goes ahead, the Sky Sports is rendered useless, basically. If the league goes ahead, your Gary Neville and the likes they're not pundits anymore. So it's all, when it comes to racism, they banned the guy that was abused for 3 games or however many games they banned him, and they banned the abuser for 10 games. It's just a joke. So it's, again, like you said, I think it's all about greed, it's all about money. And I was glad to see the way the fans reacted, but at the same time, I think we should still exercise caution. It's far from over. Like it's not even close to being, the war hasn't been won, as they say.
Of
This is
course,
just
the
one
war
battle.
of course, it hasn't been won. Barcelona and Real Madrid have not backed out. All the clubs have left, and they are the ones only still talking about it. And even I was reading JP Morgan was apologizing, that what they did to the fans, that they did not know that it will affect the fans this way. But
Right.
the thing is, I asked my friend, I asked him, I said, what if you were a Leicester City fan?
Fun.
Yeah, who is looking forward to the next Champions League, and this happens. So you see that it's not just for the clubs, the clubs that are involved. Because when, let's say, Real Madrid and Leicester are in the same group, and Madrid comes to town to play against Leicester, definitely, and fans are allowed into the stadium, or the broadcasting on the TV, it will generate income for Leicester. So it will generate income for the lower player, for the lower league, or for the smaller or not so super rich clubs.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the super rich clubs want to take it all, get 4 point something billion, share it about among themselves, and whatever the younger ones or the smaller clubs do, rather, it's up to them. So, and yeah, I know that Madrid generates money for even Madrid generates money for UEFA. So I think also UEFA has to come into the picture by maybe increasing the prize money for the Champions League. The prize money for the Champions League currently is on 1.2 million, I think. It's 1.2 million euros or thereabouts, on
Mm-hmm.
that region. So I think that's also, not enough for a tournament of
Right.
that prestige, because after the World Cup, after the World Cup, I think the UEFA Champions League is the second biggest football tournament in the world, not even the
Yeah.
Euros.
Yeah. I think so.
So I think they have to also do something, because these big clubs, like, we generate money for UEFA, but UEFA stays with all the money. And then we want to do our own thing, to be able to save ourselves, pay our players. Some of the players are holding up from contract renewals, like Sergio Ramos, Rafael Varane, and they are holding up for bigger sums of money. So it's like, maybe another way to curb this issue is place a salary cap.
But then you see, you go back to, and that's what I was trying to, when you were saying the MLS thing. I'm like, I enjoy, like, there's some good that comes out of that too, because they do salary caps. They would not go above a certain amount of money, and each team has a designated. They have, like, what I forget what they call it.
Designated players or whatever
Players,
they
yeah.
call them.
So they won't, like, so it doesn't. The chances of money ruining their league is not high versus the rest of Europe, and everything is just it's a lot. So
I think maybe if the MLS, even with the salary cap, they have, a pyramid system, promotion, relegation, and all those stuff.
yeah,
Even with the salary cap, there's no problem with that. But or maybe not just to place a salary cap. I did not really understand, even the financial fair play that UEFA started at some point. It was not
I
really
think it was a
making sense.
joke. Yeah, I
You know,
think
it
I
was
think
not making sense.
FFP was a joke, but I think we're all like, no, at the end of the day, I think it's about the lesser of two evils. Even the Champions League reform, no one is a saint in this. No one's an angel. That's my opinion. But just to kind of close things out, or like wrap things up, what are some of your closing thoughts? Like, where do we go from here? What do you think is gonna happen?
I would say, first of all, let's put some, if they can put a little control on the outrageous transfer fees,
Hmm.
that
When you
will
say they, who
help.
do you mean? Who do you mean they?
I mean, UEFA or FIFA.
Do you really want UEFA
So
to step into? I personally wouldn't want UEFA to step into my club's affairs, to be honest with you.
not to step into the club affairs, but okay, maybe the club should be a little bit smarter in their transfers because one, the high demand, as you mentioned, is coming from players' demand of wages and then agents' demand of wages. It's staggering. It's
Yeah,
too much.
I agree.
The whole money made in football, like as I read before, 60 to 80% goes to player wages. Now, when that happens, what about the other people, the other staffs working in the club, that make sure that the clubs run? So I think players also should look at when there should be something done for the player wages and agent fees. There's, something should be done because that is what is affecting the clubs, like Barcelona going into debt,
Yeah.
Madrid, the same thing. So that is because if they can take care of that greedy part from the players, it's not as if everyone is living the same lifestyle of the players. No single player deserves to be signed above 100 million. No single player, even Messi and Ronaldo.
Nah, you can't
So
debate those two. To be fair,
I mean, so I mean that
those are
remember
different. They're different level. Those
this
two.
my opinion. This my
Fair,
opinion.
fair, fair. So, what do you
This is
think
my
about like where do you think the owners go? Like, do you think, personally, I think for all those 12, when you look at Barca and Madrid, this is stuff we expect from those two. So I'm not surprised.
they are
But the
community
owners
heads.
of
They are
the
not known
yeah,
for profit.
the
So
rest of the clubs, the owners, clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, I think they have a long way to go to rebuild the trust. It's not going to be they
you
can't
know
use
that
money to mask success anymore. They have to do a lot in their communities, for the
mhm.
clubs. There's I don't know.
The
It's
thing is
just a
this.
long way to go.
Leave, 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 I think one of the reasons why I love Chelsea more, even with this, is that the owner loves football and working towards the development of the game.
But he was planning to break away with the other 12.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like as I said, I'm just going to
Oh man.
overlook and believe
Okay.
that we are afraid of being left behind. But what I mean is that if he was not if he didn't love the game, he wouldn't invest into Chelsea as much as he invested. We have the best academy in England, I would say, with all boldness. We have the best academy in England,
In
and
your
we've
opinion.
developed in Europe to be precise, and
In
we've
your
developed.
opinion.
Yeah, not just in my opinion. If we Man City have good academy, but I do not think they've developed players good enough to be able to feature and play in first teams. Not just in Chelsea, but to go outside and go on loan, go elsewhere, prove, come back, maybe find their way. But if you look around England and Europe, you see a lot of Chelsea players scattered everywhere. Even the same thing with Man United. Man United is owned by Americans, so of course they would go in with it's money coming in for them. They want to hold it back. Arsenal, their chairman or whosoever that owns them, they want to get back money they spent in building the Emirates. Daniel Levy has no money, but he's one of the big guys. He spent £1 billion on his new stadium, and nothing is being generated. Yes, his club is not winning anything. Manager is fired again, and stuff like that. So I think they like, as you asked, the best thing here is let's look at what we do, how they are dealing with the players and the agents. I think that would take care of the whole thing. You
Yep.
know, I think that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean that's fair. That's a different angle. I think accountability is like holding all these. How do you hold someone that has $1 billion or more accountable? I think there's just a lot of factors. Like even when you look at PSG and Bayern, I don't think they didn't join for because they were saints. I think
Bayern said they represent Germany, and they cannot do that to Germany.
no, I can understand from that
You
perspective
know,
because Germany's model is different. But like PSG has a lot to lose because they have TV rights tied in with Champions League around the world. So
hmm
it wouldn't make sense. It's almost like they're biting the hand that feeds them by leaving So it
Yeah.
didn't make sense for them. But like if they were not in that situation, PSG would be the first club that goes. But
I don't even
yeah,
know why Man City joined.
yeah, like yeah,
It,
it's just
it
bizarre.
could be the fear of missing out
Yeah, that's
compared
part of the reason too. That
to
FOMO,
other
but
clubs,
yeah,
you know. So because they were the first two, Man City and Chelsea were the first two English clubs that pulled out, you know, and the rest started pulling out, and then
yeah,
started apologizing, which for the fans, the fans. I like the fact that the fans came together. You know, I like the fact that the fans this like the power of the people. You know, the
yeah,
power of the people spoke. Because if not, of course, they would ditch UEFA, they would ditch FIFA, do whatever you want. You know,
yeah,
but without the fans, because all the people in football right now that we are once fans of the game. You know, I think there are some of them are still fans of the game. Some of them are in. I would say 90% of the people in football are fans of the game.
yeah.
All
But
the players,
some of those
all the
people are
players
complicit
too.
in all of this as well. They don't escape blame in my opinion. They don't just escape because they were former players. Like pundits. I was listening to a lot of pundits, and I think they talk a good game. But when there's things like racism, when there's things that actually affect lives are being affected, that you don't hear these people. So that's
The
just
issue of racism, we can talk that for another day because I
yeah,
think
we'll see. That's a
there's
different
not
topic.
for me they have done absolutely nothing,
Yeah,
nothing, nothing about racism in football. So it's a huge, it's a small but mighty topic, you know, because it's just one word, you know, it's just one word, which ever I don't know, but
yeah, yeah.
it just
We'll leave that topic for later, though.
yeah,
But that's
it's a crazy thing going on there. But
it is. It is.
yeah, but anyway,